I got Nebula on every single weapon in Black Ops 6 Zombies, and in this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how I did it. These methods are fast, they're efficient, and they're not going to involve any type of God mode glitches or anything like that. These are legitimate methods to get you these camos fast. Not only that, but you won't need gobblegums, and these can be done at any level, so truly anyone can jump in on this. I've made chapters on the timeline of this video, so if you're looking for a specific set of camos to unlock, then you can just find that section in the video right now and hop straight to the relevant parts. Now, the Season 1 update for Black Ops 6 Zombies has made camo grinding way easier with the introduction of directed mode, and as of right now, you can earn and grind camos in this game mode way easier than we've ever been able to before. Now, to be on the safe side, on the off chance that Treyarch actually reverse this and change their mind and make camos only available in the standard mode, I'm going to be showing methods for both the directed and standard modes to make sure that this video is completely timeless and the only guide you'll ever need. But as right now directed mode does work for camo unlocks, I definitely recommend those methods first. Now, just as we start basic camos, one tip that I want to give is make sure that you're focusing on weapon classes instead of spreading things out. What I mean by that is don't, for example, earn Mystic Gold on an assault rifle and then go ahead and earn Mystic Gold on a shotgun. No, focus on the weapon classes themselves. So get Mystic Gold for all assault rifles first, or all launchers first, whichever order you want to do it, but just make sure that you're doing them in their classes and nailing the classes down before moving on to the next. This will make the grind for Opal, which comes after, a lot more efficient. So without further ado, let's dive into the base camos up to Mystic Gold. Now, for these, you're going to need to get 2,000 critical kills with your weapon, or in the case of melee weapons and rocket launchers, you just need to get 2,000 kills in general. Getting these camos are kind of self-explanatory, but I'll share my methods anyway. So to start, what you want to do is launch a directed mode game of Liberty Falls. You want to start the game as usual and proceed with a weapon that you're going to get Mystic Gold on first. We are going to be doing multiple weapons in this run. Proceed with the main Easter egg that's actually now shown on the top left corner of the screen until you hit the round cap of 15. And as you may know, this is the maximum round that you can get to in directed mode, but zombies are going to continuously spawn, which obviously means that if you've got a weapon that's, say, purple rarity and tier 2 pack-a-punch, you're going to be able to melt the hordes absolutely no problem consistently, and the damage of the zombies will never increase. So make sure you get geared up on your way to round 15. The Wonder Fizz in directed mode is always available on the Alamo, so you can go ahead and grab things like Deadshot, which is super useful for this strategy. I highly recommend using it, and if you have these augments, I recommend applying them as well. If you're using a semi-automatic weapon, you'll want to apply the augment that doubles critical damage on unharmed enemies. If you're using like a rapid fire weapon like an assault rifle or an SMG, I'd just go for the one that just increases critical damage in general. These augments aren't completely necessary, they just make things a little bit easier. Though I will definitely say that I do not recommend getting elemental pop or any ammo mods on your weapon. The reason why is because these can heavily affect the efficiency of getting critical kills, especially if you manage to crowd a lot of zombies up. Now, the other beautiful thing is that on round 15, you can save and quit at any time and load back into the save. And even if it says that you need to get to round 16 in order to save, all you need to wait for is the generic round change music to happen. Round 15 will start again, but you can save and quit, which means you can keep this session open and just jump back in whenever you want to keep grinding Mystic Gold. Now, before we get into the main strategy, it's worth mentioning that weapons that turn explosive when pack-a-punched, like the LR762 sniper rifle, you're going to need to leave unpacked in order to get the most out of getting your critical kills, because if you upgrade it and it's explosive, you pretty much will get next to no critical kills from that point, and obviously it's going to go way slower. To combat this, you could actually leave directed mode at a lower round cap by not progressing through the Easter egg as much, and then the enemies will be weaker, thus making it easier for weapons like the GS45 to get those critical kills earlier on. But let's touch back on the standard weapons. Once you're on round 15 and you've upgraded your weapon a bit, you can head to this part of the cemetery and stand right in this corner. What's going to happen is pretty much all the zombies are just going to be coming straight at you from the front, and whilst there's quite a few spots around the map where you can do this kind of thing, this is personally my favorite because it's right next to Pack-a-Punch as well as the ammo box. And you can quite literally just stand right here, aim your gun, point and shoot, and just rack in those critical kills no problem. And again, because the round doesn't increase and the zombie damage stays the same, it's really not a problem. In fact, you don't even need this weapon to be upgraded to Pack-a-Punch tier 3 in most cases. You can just sit here with a tier 2 Pack-a-Punch, raking up the money for the next gun once you've got Mystic Gold on this one. This strategy also works really well for the other special camo unlocks for things like, you know, getting 300 kills whilst the weapon is Pack-a-Punched, or getting 300 kills with dead wire attached, or anything like that. Those are the last sets of camos that you need before getting Mystic Gold, and for every weapon, Mystic Gold is the exact same thing, which is 15 sets of 10 rapid kills. Thankfully, the way the zombies spawn on round 15, if you're standing in the cemetery spot, pretty much every kill is going to contribute to a rapid kill in some way. The flow is pretty consistent, and so as a result, you basically just need to get around 150 kills, and Mystic Gold is just going to pop up naturally. I definitely wish this method was available when I was actually grinding camos, but again, this is a recent update. So at the very least, if you're like me and you've already got Mystic Gold on everything, this is definitely a great method to use if you want to get Mystic Gold on those new DLC weapons. Now, in the case of the standard mode, again, I only recommend doing this if the directed mode no longer supports camo unlocks and Treyarch decided to remove that. But to start, you'll want a normal game of Liberty Falls, and you'll want your loadout to include Frenzied Guard, and these are the augments that I preferably recommend if you have them unlocked. So for stamina up, you'll want the Stalker augment that increases your walk speed whilst aiming. On Frenzied Guard, use the Frenzy Fire augment to use ammo from your stock, and the Extension augment to increase its duration. For Deadshot, the augments I recommend really does depend on the weapon you plan on using. If you're going for mainly semi-automatic weapons, then Dead First that deals double critical damage is preferable, and if you're using like a rapid fire weapon, then you'll want to use Deadhead instead. I also highly recommend the Minor augment that increases damage to armor pieces, because a lot of armored zombies are going to spawn in the later rounds. Again, these augments aren't completely necessary, they just make life easier. Finally, make sure your loadout has a concussion grenade. Now, realistically, in standard mode, if you're starting a weapon from scratch, you're definitely only going to be able to do a maximum of one weapon per game. So spawn in with that weapon and follow the same routine that I do. So chill in the starting area, hop this little railing to open up the motel room that exposes a bunch more zombies for you to kill, land your headshots, and proceed to the first vermin round. Once you've cleared the first vermin round, you want to advance over to the church, head inside the church, and consistently shoot the crystals around it that respawn every round to harvest salvage. Now, it's important that you don't upgrade the rarity of your weapon yet. Just chill out here in the church, feel free to Pack-a-Punch your weapon, and clear out as many enemies as possible. Once you get to round 10, head outside of the church and use the concussion grenade to destroy the head found on the roof. This will rain a bunch more salvage as well as essence and some score streaks, but most importantly, because you waited until round 10 to do this, the ether tool that drops will be a blue ether tool guaranteed. This will mean all of that salvage that you've saved can go towards making the weapon purple a lot earlier. I'd also hold off buying any perks until your weapon is Pack-a-Punched to tier 2. Now, any SAM trial that appears on the map is a potential golden opportunity for critical kills, so long as you handle them properly. So what I'd recommend doing is proceeding through your round, but leaving one zombie alive. This is because we don't want to flip the round, and when we start the SAM trial, all of the zombies or enemies that spawn will be capped at the health of the round that we're on. Once you start the SAM trial, wait a little bit, and then you can finish off the zombie from the round that we're on, and the round won't flip, so long as you don't kill it too quickly. Now, different trials are going to kind of offer a different level of benefits in terms of getting these critical kills. If your SAM trial is something that you'd do anyway, like kill vermin or get critical headshots or hip fire kills, you can kind of just do those things as usual anyway. There's not really much of a problem with that. But say you get a SAM trial that's, for example, using a score streak or something along those lines, a lot of those ones are timed, and all you want to do is not actually do the SAM trial. Don't use the score streak or whatever the objective is. Simply use that time to get as many critical kills as you possibly can and pretty much deliberately fail the challenge. A lot of zombies spawn during these, and because the round is locked, you're basically just going to be able to get a huge amount of kills in a very short time span, and because of how we played our cards earlier, your weapon will be more than strong enough to just land headshot after headshot. If you've done everything as I've told you so far though, you should find that by round 10 or 11, you can actually have a purple tier 2 Pack-a-Punched weapon. Having it this early means you're cleared to just go ahead and grab all the perks you want, and you'll be comfortable knowing that your weapon will be able to consistently deliver all of those critical kills you need really quickly in those earlier rounds of the game. Now, one quick trick for vermin rounds before we actually get into the main strategy is that if you open this yummy free section and just crouch right next to the broken bit of wall, all of the vermin that spawn during the vermin rounds are going to go right in front of you. All you need to do is just aim your gun, keep it still, and just time your shot. shots, and you'll be landing pretty much a full consistent range of critical kills on every vermin that spawns. And this also works in any round. They won't come from the sides, they won't come from behind you, they will literally just come from the front. So it's super easy to get these rounds cleared without any drama. Now, if you keep pushing through the game and farming those SAM trials, like I said, as you push towards the mid-20s, you'll be close to having this weapon completely maxed out. And at this stage, you'll be in the right time to run the basic strategy. So everyone knows about the training area on Washington Avenue where there's the bus and the box truck. All you want to do is manipulate the horde around you in a nice tight bunch in the middle and then run along the side of either one of these vehicles, and they should funnel into a nice organized line. Especially if you back up around it, it'll just be a straight line of zombies for you to just keep popping shots at and landing critical kills consistently. This is where that augment for stamina up that I recommended, if you had it, comes in really useful, because having faster aim walk speed definitely helps, because sometimes zombies do come from behind, but you can easily walk around them with this augment. And you'll want to just rinse and repeat this strategy. So round them up, run them along the side of the bus, pop shots, land those critical kills, and remember that vermin rounds again, just run into the yummy freeze and just aim straight at the broken wall. Make sure that you head up to the Alamo on round 25, because that's where the Wonder Fizz spawns, and you'll be able to grab Deadshot Daiquiri, which will make this strategy even easier. Now, eventually you're going to reach a point where there is just too much going on. But this is where Frenzied Guard comes in. So with Frenzied Guards, once you activate it in a time where everything's just a little too much, you'll be able to shoot consistently because it's just taking ammo from your stock, and also, so long as you keep killing, you pretty much can't die during this period. This will let you clear out most of the threats in a very short span of time. But then proceeding further, you will again eventually reach a point where there is just so many manglers that you just can't really handle that. And by this point, you should be pretty close to funding yourself for the knife strategy. Now with this, all you'll basically do is have your knife, that's your dedicated melee weapon, grab Melee Macchiato, head over to the Pack-a-Punch, fully upgrade it, and also increase its rarity to the maximum level. What you'll then want to do is add Blast Furnace, or Napalm Burst as it's now called, onto the knife, and then from this point, it will be able to consistently one-hit manglers so long as you hit the cannon. So what you want to do at the start of a round is just run around with your knife out, find the manglers as they spawn, quickly ice them, and then go back to gathering up the horde and running them along the side of the bus and shooting downrange to get those critical kills. You'll basically want to keep pushing this strategy until around the 35, maybe 40 at a push mark, but at that point, I definitely recommend exfilling. Depending on how well you farmed your SAM trials, you might have already hit your 2000 critical kill mark, and you might have even done these special camos for getting those 300 kills under certain conditions type thing. In some cases, you can take a weapon from 0 to complete Mystic Gold in this one game. But even if you don't manage to pull it off, you'll be so close to it that you'll just need one very quick, maybe 10-minute game to get the rest of the stuff cleaned up. Now, this is a strategy that I use to unlock Mystic Gold on all of the weapons in the game, because when I was doing it, directed mode wasn't a thing yet. But again, if you're watching this video and directed mode works, definitely use it. It is way faster. But unfortunately, with this next set of camos, directed mode isn't an option. So let's talk about that. With Opal camos, what you'll need to do is get 30 special eliminations. And like I was saying, directed mode will not work for this, because as of right now, you'll pretty much get 1, maybe 2 manglers in a directed game, and that's it. Now, directed mode will be useful again in this camo grind. In fact, very useful, and I'll touch on that later in the video. But as of right now, you have a choice when it comes to unlocking Opal. If you want to be as efficient and as streamlined as possible, and you still have Mystic Gold to get on other weapon classes, then the right thing to do is go ahead and get Mystic Gold on those other weapon classes, but also in the same game, try and grab a weapon that you need Opal for and use that exclusively to take down the manglers. If, however, you've plowed through the directed mode to get Mystic Gold on most things and you want to grind straight for Opal camo on as many weapons as possible, then here's the method to do that. You'll need to head into a standard game and follow this procedure. You are going to be doing way more than just one weapon per game with this strategy. The first thing you want to do is proceed through the game, but make sure that you build the jet gun. There's plenty of guides on how to do that if you don't know, and I even made a guide on it, so I'll link that on screen right now. You want to proceed as normal in the obvious way, where you basically just use whatever weapon you spawn in with as the weapon that you want to get this camo on, and just make sure that whenever a mangler spawns, you drop them with that weapon. No matter which way you do it, you need to make sure that you've got enough funds to have the jet gun nearly maxed at the very least by round 35. You need to make sure that you have the jet gun ready, because around this point, as you push closer to the round 40 and beyond, zombies are going to be sprinting faster and there's going to be so many manglers. But that's exactly what we want. So again, from round 40 plus, what you'll want to do is run a train with the knife out just for maximum mobility. You don't need to upgrade the knife in any way. You just need it for maneuverability. And you'll want to consistently run around the Washington Avenue area and use the 2 vehicles for cover from all of the mangler cannons. And what you want to do is, with the jet gun out, run the train around the back of the vehicle to shield yourself again from those mangler cannons, and use the jet gun to clear all of the zombies that are chasing you. You want to rinse and repeat this consistently, running loops between the vehicles or a figure of 8 or whatever makes you most comfortable at the time, and clear zombies from behind the cover of these vehicles as much as possible until the manglers are the only enemy that's left. This actually doesn't take as long as you think it would. Higher rounds in Black Ops 6 go way quicker than I've seen in any of the previous Call of Duty zombie games, so whilst it can be really hard at certain points, it is pretty fast. So run your train, clear with the jet gun behind cover until the manglers are the only thing that's left, and then of course switch to the weapon that you want to get Opal for and clean them up. Now this strategy does sound tedious, but I promise you, if you put it into practice, it actually goes really quick and you'll be getting Opal way faster than you think. This is because as you push to round 50, you're going to see manglers spawn in such high quantities. We're talking maybe 7 to 10 manglers per round in some cases. And so this is easily the best way to farm Opal, in my opinion. Now, the biggest hurdle that you'll find is actually funding the pack-a-punching of the weapons that you cycle through, because of course the newer point system makes earning points harder, and you'll eventually reach a stage where you might struggle to get tier 3 pack-a-punch on the weapons as you're cycling through them. But thankfully, that's because you'll be earning Opal so quickly. Now, as the jet gun doesn't require you to buy ammo, keeping the points you do earn isn't too stressful. So you just want to rinse and repeat this strategy. You can even push this strategy into the 70s, around 80s. You can actually get to around 100 with this strategy. The jet gun is just that good. And if you're using these vehicles for cover and you play your cards right, sometimes you'll need to run around the actual map as a whole. You want to also definitely make sure that you're consistently topping up your armor, either at the workbench found near Quick Revive or near the groundskeeper's house. And of course, you're also going to definitely want to make sure that you're running around with your knife primarily for maximum mobility, because if you do just try and run around with the jet gun consistently, it definitely won't end well. But I will say it sounds harder than it really is. It is a challenge. You will need skill, but you'll be able to earn Opal on a very good amount of weapons in a single game with this method. Make sure that you're saving and quitting as well, because it is a long setup to get to this stage and it might be useful later. And so this pretty much sums up how I earned Opal on all of my weapons, and in my opinion, it's the fastest and most efficient way to do so. Next, let's move on to Afterlife. This is unlocked only when you've got Opal on every single weapon at this point. And for Afterlife, all you need to do is get 20 kills consecutively without getting hit 10 times. And thankfully from here, the road to Nebula becomes very, very easy. Now you're going to be flying through weapons by doing this. And every time you get Afterlife camo on one, you'll be earning 7,500 XP. So you'll be getting a major boost to your rank with this as well. Now in directed mode, what you'll want to do is spawn into Liberty Falls as usual, and again proceed to the round cap of 15. Now if you're using a standard weapon, i.e. not a rocket launcher or a melee weapon, the easiest thing to do is just come to the spawn area, which is the abandoned rooftop, and quite literally just sit in the back corner. The zombies will come from the left and the right, but they're always in front of you and at a very comfortable distance. This means you can just chill, pop those heads, and you can pretty comfortably get the Afterlife camo with just literally a level 1 Pack-a-Punch upgrade. You don't even necessarily need it to be Pack-a-Punch 2, though you can do that if you want to make life a little bit easier. But just chilling here and getting 200 kills like this is just going to earn you Afterlife so easily. And the beauty of it is that you'll have enough money to go ahead, spin the box, upgrade that weapon, come back, and just do it again. Because again, in directed mode, round 15 is just going to repeat endlessly. So the zombies are never going to get stronger. So with this, you can literally earn Afterlife for every weapon in the game in this one single run. And it doesn't even take that long either. Now, what I recommend with rocket launchers or weapons that turn explosive once you pack-a-punch them, the best thing to do is just find a nice training spot. I really like Liberty Lanes for this, and just gather up all of the zombies in the round. You'll find that the maximum cap for zombies in Black Ops 6 is pretty much exactly 4 40. And so all you need to do, you can get hit during this if you want, is just round them up into a nice tight bunch. And once you're convinced that no more are coming, just pop your shots, destroy the entire crowd, and that will pretty much guarantee 40 kills, which of course counts as 2 towards the challenge where you need to get this done 10 times. So all you need to do is round up this train again 4 more times and you'll have Afterlife. Now it's worth mentioning, once you destroy a crowd of 40 in directed mode on round 15, you're not going to be able to do a second train on that same round. So once you've destroyed the first crowd, just clean up the rest of the other zombies. There should be about 4 more that spawn during the round, and then you'll hear the round change music. Round 15 will repeat itself, and then you just get the 40 crowd up again, shoot your explosive, clean up the rest of the round, and then repeat again. And that will cover your explosive weapons. With melee weapons, however, guided mode comes in handy yet again. What I recommend doing is pushing through up to the melee macchiato machine, increase the rarity of your melee weapon to green, but so long as you do not open the church, the round cap will be locked at round 9. Now, a few zombies will be jogging at this round, but their melee attacks are still way slower than in later rounds. And what you can do is stay at this round cap of 9 with the baseball bat or the knife, and quite easily with melee macchiato grab these kills super quickly. I recommend highly these augments for melee macchiato if you have them unlocked. You'll need the major augment that makes your melee attacks faster, and the minor augment that increases your back pedal speed. You can also use this side alley of the church once all of the zombies are spawned in the map to very easily line up the horde and just bonk them one by one to get this challenge even easier. With this, using this strategy, it really does just become a breeze. And then you'll have Afterlife on these really frustrating melee weapons. Again, I really wish these methods were available when I was doing Afterlife, but on that note, let's talk about earning Afterlife in standard mode. And again, I only recommend doing this if the directed mode is no longer available for camo unlocks. Now with this strategy, I only really recommend going for 2 weapons per game before just restarting to make things easier. Now, as you'll be earning 7,500 XP for every single Afterlife camo you get, you will be flying through the ranks by getting these camos. And so what I recommend if you're forced onto standard mode is to choose your weapons wisely and be prestige conscious. What I mean by that is, as you're very likely going to prestige during your grind for these Afterlife camos, I recommend starting with the weapons that you've most recently unlocked in the progression tab. So say you're level 46 and you've unlocked the Goblin Mark II assault rifle, you'll want to do that one first so that if you prestige, the Goblin Mark II isn't locked again, restricting you from being able to do it unless you're lucky enough to get it from the mystery box. You kind of get the logic here. Just pick the weapon that you've most recently unlocked and prioritize those first if you're being forced into standard mode. First off, let's talk about melee weapons. What you'll want to do is, as soon as possible, go ahead and grab melee macchiato. You can use the concussion grenade to do the mini Easter egg that spawns the ether tool nice and early to get that thing to green as soon as possible. Now, what I recommend doing is training the hordes around Liberty lanes and trying to pick off stragglers that are lagging behind. This way, you can really quickly snap and grab those enemies as quickly as possible. And then when the train is all that's left, use the augments that I recommended earlier to increase that melee speed and backpedal speed, and you should be able to just quickly whack, pull back, whack, and pull back again to clean up those kills nice and easy. Sometimes you will get hit, but ultimately it actually isn't as hard as it sounds. You can go ahead and install ammo mods onto your melee weapons to make things even easier if you want to, but ultimately this challenge shouldn't be that hard. This area of Liberty lanes is also the one that I recommend using if you're using just a weapon that's just really bad, really weak. It's definitely the easiest way to keep zombies at a reasonable distance from you and having enough space to maneuver if things go south. But in the event that you actually are using a weapon that's actually half decent, you can either use the spot that I used in my directed mode guide, or you can go ahead and stand in this corner of the cemetery and shoot directly ahead. With this though, I highly recommend having speed cola with the augment that speeds up your reload speed even further, and the cryo freeze ammo mod also helps a bunch, especially with the ice cloud augment. But with your weapon at level 1 or level 2 pack-a-punch, you should be able to comfortably keep them away from you. If things do get a little bit tricky, what you can do as well is you can quite literally hop the staircase onto the opposite side just to quickly do your reload before hopping back again. But if you do it right, you might even be able to get this camo unlocked with a nice, clean, simple 200 kills. At this point, you'll probably have enough funds to grab one more weapon and upgrade it to a relatively decent enough stage for the round that you're on, but much more than that and you'll probably be pushing it. So I pretty much recommend restarting the game at that stage. Don't forget as well, you can farm SAM trials, in which you would start a SAM trial, go back to the spots that I recommended, and just use the time SAM trials to just farm kills. Don't actually complete the trial itself, and that'll actually make it even easier because the health is capped on those trials to the round that you're on. But with these methods, even on the standard mode, unlocking the Afterlife camo really is a breeze. You'll have it in no time. And at this point, we'd then start the grind for Nebula, which requires 10 elite elimination kills. This is of course the main event, the reason that everyone's trying to grind these camos to begin with. And let me tell you, this camo is definitely worth it. I love the design, and most of all, the fact it's reactive and kind of glows like a purpley red as you're shooting. It is just dope. Treyarch did an amazing job with these camos this year. And so let's dive into the directed mode on how to get Nebula. And this, thankfully, is so easy, and I have the best possible method on how to do it. Start up your directed mode game of Liberty Falls with a weapon that you believe is overpowered. I've made a list of the most overpowered weapons in Black Ops 6 Zombies, but the common choice is going to be the ASG shotgun. Grab whatever overpowered weapon makes you comfortable, proceed through the game as normal, and go through the Easter egg until you craft the LTG device. With your upgraded overpowered weapon, spawn in the HVT after doing the defense phase by placing the LTG device in the riverside section of the map. Once the HVT spawns, even if it's a mangler, it will count as an elite kill. And in fact, the mangler is the one that we want. Now, don't panic. If you get an abomination, which is what we don't want, all you need to do is flip the round, save and quit, and then relaunch the game. You then be able to reactivate the LTG, and it should spawn the HVT directly first time without needing to do a defense phase, and it will re-roll the dice as to whether or not it's a mangler or it's an abomination. If it's an abomination again, just save and quit, do it again until you get a mangler. Now, once you do, stay in this game. Spin the box or grab a wall by, whatever you need. Just grab the weapon that you want to grab Nebula on, making sure that you're only replacing the jet gun. Keep the overpowered weapon because we're going to need it. Upgrade the weapon you want to get Nebula on to level 1 or level 2 at the Pack-a-Punch machine and put on Napalm Burst. Now, you don't have to do this, but it just makes things a little easier. What we're going to do is we're going to weaken the HVT with your choice of overpowered weapon. Bring their health right down to a slither and then switch to the weapon that you want Nebula on and finish it off. This will count as an elite elimination for that weapon. Now, here's where it gets really nice. Once you clear the zombies, you'll hear the round change, but again, because we're in directed mode, it will stay at round 15, and you can respawn the mangler and do it again and again and again. You can do it endlessly, and you can make it incredibly fast if you come into this radio store. So in the radio store, use your weapon to clear out all the zombies, let the round change music happen, head back to the LTG device and spawn in the HVT. Quickly weaken it with your weapon again, switch to the weapon that you want to get Nebula for and finish it off, head immediately back into the radio store, clear the zombies, and rinse and repeat this process. Once you get this process down fully, it will be the fastest possible way to get these eliminations out of the way, because you can actually clear round 15 in this radio store in literally under a minute. You will quite literally be averaging an elite elimination every single minute with this strategy. All you'll need to do is rinse and repeat this, and once you've got Nebula on that first weapon, go ahead, spin the box, grab your next weapon, Pack-a-Punch it to level 1 or level 2, put on Napalm Burst, head back into the radio store, flip the round, spawn the HVT again, and just keep on going. You can literally get all of them done in a single game, and you don't even need to spend as much time as you imagine you have to. You can get this done so incredibly quickly, and then you will have Nebula on all 33 weapons in the game. Of course, there's now 2 DLC weapons, but to get the special calling card, which by the way looks incredibly dope, you only need to get 33 weapons Nebula, which was the amount of weapons that were available when the game launched. Now, in my case personally, I had every weapon on Afterlife by the time that season 1 launched, and so thankfully I was able to use this directed mode for my elite eliminations to get Nebula even faster than I could possibly have imagined, and I'm very grateful that I could have. So I definitely recommend using this strategy if directed mode is still available for camo unlocks. And in no time, you'll be able to wield this gorgeous camo on every weapon, and at which point I'd recommend doing exactly what I did, which is go outside and touch some grass. Now, if you need to do this for standard mode and directed mode is no longer a viable option, I also have a strategy for getting Nebula there. So let's quickly touch on that. You'll want to use the same strategy with the LTG device and try and get yourself a mangler with that strategy, and you'll have 2 choices at this point. You can either proceed through the rounds, let them tick over, and just spawn the HVT every round. If you get this Easter egg step done by round 11, for example, then by round 20, because of the abomination that spawns as well, you'll have gotten Nebula on your weapon anyway. But then you'd have to restart the game, and it wouldn't be as smooth as we could possibly make it. So what I'd suggest doing is spawning in the HVT, using a powerful weapon to weaken it, or the weapon you actually spawned in with if it's good enough. Finish off the HVT, and then save and quit. What you'll then be able to do is load back into your save on the same round and respawn the HVT, thus getting 2 elite eliminations in the same round. If you keep doing this, not only will you get 2 per round at this point, but if you do it after round 15 as well, then you'll also have an abomination and a HVT, and then once you reload into your save, the abomination will likely respawn again, so long as it's not a vermin round, and you can do the HVT again as well, which basically means that you'll get 4 elite eliminations per round. And then later on into the game, sometimes you'll have 2 abominations per round naturally as well, so you can kind of work out and jiggle around with this method to get as much out of a single game as you possibly can, and more often than not, you can actually get a fair few weapons done in one game, even on standard. But bringing this all together, using these methods, you too can unlock Nebula in Black Ops 6 Zombies in absolutely no time. Well, actually, that's a lie. It does take a fair bit of time, but either way, you'll still get it faster than a lot of your friends. And you can also say that you've done it legitimately. And the best part is that the amount of XP you'll be getting is genuinely crazy. And that concludes this video. Lads, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.